morning, Mr. Jimenez. I'm Vera, a 4th grade scholar from Miss Baker-Smith's class, but you may know me as Vera.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Jimenez. I'm Vera, a 4th grade scholar from Miss Baker-Smith's class, but you may know me as Vera, a scholar walking to school, doing my best job. So my first question is, when you were in 4th grade, what did you want to be when you grow up?
So when I was in 4th grade, and thank you so much for asking me these questions about what it's like to be a principal. I had just arrived to this country, and I was learning English as a new language, but I always wanted to be an artist of some sort. So I first started thinking that I wanted to be a singer, and then I actually sang and realized that maybe not so much, but I always liked painting and drawing, so I would always doodle. So something creative where I would be able to sort of develop my talents as an artist, and that's what I aspired to be when I was in 4th grade.
I can relate to that. I really love drawing. So my second question is, when did you realize that being an educator was your life calling?
So I came into education, having been a student for many years, but I went through college here in New York. That's why I moved to New York City. My family's mostly in South Florida, in Miami. So I came here to go to school. I met a lot of people later in life that were educators, and so I considered that would be a great way to make an impact, still be able to have my talents and my interest be part of a school. So that kind of came about a little later after I graduated college, that I started to really consider being an educator. And one thing that I did first was I read books about what an educator's life might be like. So I read 55 Rules by, oh my god, now I'm forgetting his name, Ron Clark, who runs a school, the Ron Clark Academy. And I got inspired by his story of coming to New York and working in a school that maybe not everyone believed would do well, and him turning it around and really bringing community to the school. And I then applied to the New York City Teaching Fellows. That was a program for folks that wanted to go into teaching, and that's when I started my career, actually teaching 4th grade, which was the same kind of age group of when I came into the country, and it was with scholars that also were new to the country, so it kind of brought me back full circle.
Wonderful. I really agree. Books teach you a lot of things. So my third question is, what are the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead in education?
Ooh, that's a big topic. I don't know if we have enough time, but thank you. That question is something that everyone that is in school leadership and district leadership, or making decisions that affect everyone, should be thinking about how to solve some of the challenges. I would say one of the big challenges, and it's kind of the mind, is sometimes believing that people can't do as much as they can. So we have our own limiting beliefs that we think we can't do something, but sometimes we just need to see other people doing it for us to then believe that we can. Again, talked about role models or people that inspire you. So I think mindsets are important, having a growth mindset, and then making sure that that's at the foundation of the work. I also think, properly funding education is important. So, you can do more with less, and that's a great skill to have. But it shouldn't be at the expense of it being an obstacle to being able to access the same level as everybody else. So schools should be fully funded. They should have support staff in the school that is there to make it run, effectively and productively. And that does take money. And so people in leadership positions need to fund schools so that that's not the barrier.
Interesting. I like your choices. So number 4 was, who was your role model as a child?
My role model as a child, I definitely would have to be my father, because he was such a hard worker. He always, was showing, he was a kind of fix everything in the house and work really hard. So he, would redo the kitchen. He would work on the yard. He would fix the refrigerator, the TV. He was an electrical engineer. So he had many sort of talents on how things work and how to fix them. So I always looked up to him because one was like the best math help. Whenever I needed any help with math, he was the one to go to. But later on, as I grew up, I also had my sister, who was 4 years older than me. And she was a really good role model because she went to high school first than me, right? So I saw her participate in clubs. She was doing things in the community. She met the president at one point when she was in high school. She was on the newspaper for her community work, and she also received a lot of scholarships, which made me think that I needed to apply myself, that I needed to think big. So she was someone who made me think big because when you're with your peers or people your age, sometimes you might not see the same level of inspiration. So I saw it from my sister.
Yeah, most family members are really inspiring. So my fifth question is, what is the most fulfilling part of being a principal?
For me, it's so the fulfilling part is knowing that I'm making an impact, right? So teachers, just like students, need support, need somebody that believes in them, need somebody that gives them freedom and choices to be able to be their best self. So I think principals have the opportunity to create a culture, an environment that makes that sort of is possible to happen. Sort of like a gardener. You put things on the ground, you water it, you maintain it. You're not the flower, so you're not maybe the most beautiful part of it is the flowers and what grows, but you're kind of gardening and hoping and putting things in places so that it can thrive. So I like helping others be able to grow on their own.
So, number 6 is, how many languages were spoken in your home other than English?
Spanish was the other. So Spanish was the language that was spoken in my house. Actually, with my mom and my dad, we only spoke Spanish. They were learning English, but they wanted us to be bilingual, and so one of the things that they did was just to always speak to us in Spanish. That was pretty much it. I tried taking Italian in high school. And I think I took like a year, but I continued also learning Spanish and took some higher level Spanish classes. And later on in my life, I started wanting to learn also Portuguese. So I was learning some of that. I even got to visit Brazil when I was younger and practice it, but those are the only 2. Now in my family, there's another language, which is German. So my nephew actually speaks German, Spanish, and English, and so my brother-in-law speaks to him in German. I'm trying to hear some of it and learn some of it. Some of it's close to English, sometimes it's very different, and so I think our family is growing in different languages, and maybe over the years we might include a 4th language.
Awesome. In my household, we speak Filipino.
I'd love to learn that language too.
Number 7 is, what are some traditions or superstitions you have for the first day of school?
I love that. Well, one of the traditions is definitely being outside, being able to say hi to everyone. There's a sort of a lot of big positive energy, but there's also maybe some anxious feelings about being in school, meeting new people, changing rooms. So being outside, saying hi to everyone, smiling. This year, of course, it was smizing with your eyes since we were wearing the masks, but greeting everyone in the beginning of the school year, making it special is definitely one of the traditions. Superstitions. I don't know if there's any superstitions, but more, it's a day that we want it to go really smoothly. So we're always kind of hoping that everything goes well, and scholars are leave excited, telling their families, "I had a great first day of school."
Wonderful. Number 8 is, I noticed that school principals deliver a lot of speech. And was there ever a time you had some stage fright? How would you handle it?
That's such a great question. It is true. As someone in a position of leadership, you have to talk to people. I would say I get stage fright all the time. I'm always a little afraid. It might not show, or I try to hide it, not necessarily consciously, but I do always feel like I want to communicate in a way that people understand that with some things that you might be talking about or sharing, some people might have different feelings about. So you always want to meet people where they are. You don't want to assume. You don't want to say something that might make people not hear your message. So I think with balancing that, some of my fears are maybe pushed off to the side, or my stage fright, because I'm more focused on is my message being delivered in a way that people are going to hear it, and that people are going to to take from it what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I have stage fright, but all I have to do is take my breaths and then just listen. If I make a mistake, I can repeat it again. It's fine.
That's a great strategy for sure.
Number 9, last but not least, if you could pass on any wisdom to students who dream to become a principal, what would you share?
I would share. That's such a great question too. I think being a principal, or being in any, as an educator, one is a desire to want to help. It's also wanting to be around kids. So you have to love kids. You have to want to help them and see potential, like what is possible. So I think being creative really helps. Being also trying to make things better for others than maybe they were for you is another motivation that a good principal might have. Wanting to create a school that maybe is better than the schools that they went to, or and create experiences for people that they will remember. Because at the end of the day, we still remember. As an adult, I remember elementary school, middle school, and high school, and there's some good memories, and there's some memories that I wish were different. And I want to, as a principal, want to be able to create memories that are going to be memorable and good and happy for folks. And I think if you have that in mind, and that's something that you would love to do for others, the principalship is definitely one way to do it.
Thank you so much for answering all my questions. It's been a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you so much for asking me. These were amazing. I think you have a talent at asking questions and interviewing for sure.
This was a very fun interview. Bye.